Hello my friend, welcome to Breakfast with Sergio. This is episode number 203 and today I'm going to talk about failure because I believe there are two ways to fail. Which one is your favorite? Alright my friend, super happy to be here. Welcome to Breakfast with Sergio. Well, guess what my friend, I failed miserably at breakfast today. There is absolutely nothing on my plate, nothing to drink, nothing to eat, because I failed at making my breakfast before coming here to do the video. And today, my friends, I want to talk about exactly that. I want to talk about failure. Yesterday, I made a post on my Instagram. I made a quote about, failure, how failure could be a way in which when you experience a failure, either you build a wall to your next level or you build a bridge, to the next level. You decide. It's entirely up to you. What happens, what you do with a failure is entirely up to you. Either it's going to push you down or it's going to push you forward, and that's up to you. But today, here specifically, because all the comments that quote received, I want to talk a little bit more about that and expand this idea of failure. As there are two ways to fail. There are two ways to fail, and I believe you choose which one you like. There's one way of failure that I love, that I really, really like, and there's one that I don't like. Now, we all experience failure, right? And on the small things and on big things. On the small things, you fail to brush your teeth, so you're gonna have bad breath, right? Small thing, but it matters. Or on the big things, right? You fail at something that you're doing for your art career, or approaching a gallery, or growing your audience, or making the sale, whatever you pick, you choose, right? There are failures in our life, and we all experience them. And if you don't remember your latest failure, don't worry about it. Perhaps it's just around the corner. But what I'm thinking about here in terms of failure is there are two ways to fail, and I think there's one that's good and it's great, and it gets a bad rap. A lot of times, when we think about failure, we think about this horrible thing, because since we are little, we experience, this idea that failure is bad for you, right? If you get a bad grade on the test, is a bad grade on the quiz, you didn't do the exercise, you missed this deadline, everything, those are failures, right? But there's I believe, the more I think about it, I believe there are two ways to fail. The first one, you can fail by lack of action. Failure by lack of action. And I think that's the bad one. I think that's really bad. I have no breakfast here on my plate because I didn't make breakfast before coming to this video. So the lack of action produced this failure that I have nothing to eat, right? So there's a failure which I think is negative, which I think is bad, which I think it doesn't teach me anything, right? Because if I fail by the lack of action, it's because I don't care. And when you don't care, you don't learn. Learning is a process. Learning is a choice. I do believe very strongly. So I think, my friend, when you fail by the lack of action, you're not really making progress as an artist. You're not really making progress in your art career. And that's my dog barking there, kind of crazy. So the lack of action produces this failure, and there's no learning involved in that because there is no interest in learning. However, there's a second failure that I love, that I think is necessary for us, and I think it's not a bad thing, I think it's a good thing, is when we fail by trying, when we fail by making, when we fail by action. You make the action and you fail, and because you are involved in the process, you learn and you make better choices the next time around. If I make breakfast, and maybe it's not the best breakfast ever, maybe I burn the tortilla, whatever I'm making, and maybe it's not as tasty as I may want it, but at least I fail by making, I fail by action, and as a result, next time I do breakfast again, I will remember I have to watch it and maybe put it in the fire for a little bit less time. And I think, my friends, when it comes to our art career, it's the same thing. How do we look at failure? You can fail as an artist in many ways in your art career by the lack of action, because you're looking at everybody else doing the work that you don't want to do, or the work that you are not doing. That's one way of failure, right? The lack of action. Now, there are times, here for full understanding of this, full context of this, there are times in which you can't, legitimately do something because of health issues or because of circumstances that are out of your control. I'm not talking about those things. I'm talking about when you have the option to take action and you don't do it. That's what I'm talking about. Not when there are times in which it's just impossible for you to do it, right? You may have all the intentions, however, the circumstances of life in that moment prevent you from doing it. I'm talking about the lack of action when it's a choice, when you choose not to do what you need to do. So then that produces a failure, that you are not growing. But when you are working at it, when you go in your studio and you're trying to master your craft, you're trying to master your process by going there every day or whatever, and many times you need to go in your studio, and you go there and you are serious about it and you work hard and you fail, right? You make a painting or a sculpture or something and it doesn't work out. That's wonderful. That's the best feeling ever. That's the best way to fail, because you fail by action. You fail as a result of action. When you do that, then you're learning, because you are learning. You are in the process of failure. Failure is inevitable when you are taking action. When you are taking action, and that is when you grow the most. That's when you grow the fastest. So I believe, my friends, those are the two ways to fail. Fail for the lack of action, which I don't like. Failing because you are taking action, that's the failure that I love. That's the failure that I learned. That's the failure that I see. It's not fun. I mean, it's not fun to fail, but it's the one that says, I'm going to do better the next time around. And my friends, when you have that mentality, when you look at a failure and you look at, okay, was this because I had lack of action, or because I took action and I experienced a failure, which is going to help me get better to the other side. It's going to help me grow in the long run because I'm taking action. So I hope, my friend, that you are an artist who takes action. I hope that you fail by taking action, because that's how you grow and that's how you get better at your art career, and actually at whatever else we're doing in life. Failure is part of learning, and what a great thing when we can do it as a result of taking action versus just not doing anything. Hope you have a great day. Please share this episode with your friends. If you want to check out some of my resources, go to www.theartistnextlevel.com, and I will see you in the next episode of Let's Help with Sergio. Goodbye.